Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, we're gonna be testing the Steam Deck in GTA 5. As usual, I'm gonna be using an external capture card to connect the Steam Deck to an external monitor and capture everything. So I'm not gonna be playing or looking down at the display here, but I am still gonna be playing with the controls on the Steam Deck. So get ready because my driving is gonna be worse than usual. I'm not used to this, okay? Anyway, let's go to the game info over here and the Steam Deck compatibility details, and you can see that it says it's playable, but it's not like verified, you know, completely at least. So it just says that it requires extra effort to configure the game. It will start at 800 by 600, for example. You'll need to adjust the settings, and you will also need to log into your Rockstar account. So let's go ahead and play the game now, shall we? So let's go over the settings first. We're playing with DirectX 11, of course, using 720p resolution, which is very similar to the native 800p. That's 1280 by 800 on the Steam Deck, but I can't really set it to that res with an external display for some reason. But if you play at 800p, you can expect like 1 or 2 less FPS. It's basically the same thing, okay? Let's go over the settings here. I'm starting this using the very high settings. As you can see, I put everything up to very high, aside from post effects here, because that introduces motion blur and it looks ugly. Advanced settings are all turned off, and while it's loading, let's just go over the performance tab over here on the Steam Deck. We're using performance overlay level set to 3, which is just the on-screen display, guys. As you can see, it shows up more things if I set it to 4, but I prefer it on 3 so it's not as cluttered. Over here, the frame rate limit is set to off at the moment, the refresh rate set to 60, and we're not using any FSR or manual GPU clock control or anything like that. All right, here we go, guys. We got a beautiful car right here that I just stole, and let's go ahead and drive really fast through the city first, as usual. Now, FPS are already dropping a lot from 60, as you can see, and the game is actually a bit stuttery, guys. Something that I did not expect on the Steam Deck because, you know, this game is 10 years old. And it usually runs really well on pretty much everything that I throw at it. Here on the Steam Deck, unfortunately, if you want to get rid of the stuttering, you will also need, I'm so sorry, sir, to lock your FPS to 40 or 30 or something like that, like to the minimum that you see, basically. Again, I thought it would run a lot better than this. It's 720p after all. Of course, at this resolution, the GPU usage isn't even maxed out. We have a CPU bottleneck, okay? And yes, you can have a CPU bottleneck without the CPU usage being at 100%, as long as the game doesn't utilize all of the cores. I need a new car. This one is almost broken. This is the same car, actually, over here. I'm gonna grab this. Get out, sir. Thank you very much for the car. All right, let's go. Over here is where it becomes more GPU bound because of all of the vegetation. That's really, really GPU intensive. But since we didn't have a GPU bottleneck, and we still don't have it, it actually gets more FPS in Jack's Hill. Hello, Jack. How's it going, buddy? Everything all right? I really hope I don't run you over with the Steam Deck here.
That's one
Oh! That was a mistake. He's not dead, though, I think. He can't be dead. Seriously? Just a little pat in the back, he's dead? No, he's just sleeping. Anyway, let's drop down here into the most GPU-bound area in my benchmark run, and we can see GPU usage going up to like 97% at times. I'd consider that GPU bound already, okay, but it's still getting around the same FPS as we got in the city, again, because it's mostly CPU bound. Goodbye, Bob! Need to kill this bastard. There we go. Good job. And now the balance has been restored in the benchmark universe. But yeah, it's not really a great experience, really, guys, because of the little micro stuttering issues that you get while driving through the city and stuff. So if you want a smooth experience in GTA 5, unfortunately you will need to lock your FPS. Locking it to 60 doesn't do anything because we weren't really reaching 60 FPS in the first place. Dropping it down to 30 will fix pretty much everything because it never dropped from 30 FPS. And look at that frame time graph now. It is buttery smooth. Unfortunately, you get quite a bit more input lag. Yeah, now that I actually messed around with some settings, developer settings, in the Steam Deck just to make sure that the external display works as best as it can. I am noticing the input lag, the classic input lag from the Steam Deck that you get in the screen as well on the external monitor. I didn't see that previously in my previous videos, but now I can feel it, and it's definitely noticeable, guys. If you can get used to the input lag, well, it's possible for you to play like this for sure, but I mean, it feels really, really bad, actually. I'm gonna show you right here with the analog. I'm gonna turn the camera around. See that? It takes quite a while for it to register. It's really annoying, basically. Obviously, the lower you lock your FPS, the higher input lag values you will get, and it's gonna become, like, completely unplayable if you lock it to, like, 20 FPS or something like that. I just locked it to 30 so you can see that the frame time becomes extremely smooth this way. Now, if you allow tearing, that supposedly reduces input lag by a little bit. I can still feel it though. Maybe it's slightly better, but what this does is it allows the tearing. It basically disables the internal VSync on the Steam Deck, so it becomes slightly, very, very slightly more responsive. Let's continue. Going this way. Can we actually make this one fly? Yes, we can! Come on! I can't look back. Why does it take so long for me to look back with the analog sticks? God damn it, mate! Yeah, actually, that's a heck of a lot better, guys, in terms of input lag. Alright, yeah, it's definitely the way to play this game. Just allow tearing. If you don't care about the screen tearing issues, it's gonna be way better of an experience with a 30 FPS lock, that's for sure. And over here, it's a really intensive area as well, because we're seeing a lot of vegetation around us. It's almost as intensive as Jack's Hill. And yeah, it's getting locked 30 all of the time. I could play the game like this now, okay? Alright, now I'm gonna try to set the refresh rate to 40 frames per second. And my capture card is gone. And now that the refresh rate is set to 40, we're able to lock the FPS to 40 as well. Anyway, yeah, getting 40 frames per second is probably the way to go without the tearing stuff as well, you know? Yeah, loud tearing is turned off right there. But the thing is... oh boy! Okay, alright. Oh, damn it! Okay. We already saw that the FPS dropped from 40 from time to time, especially driving at high speeds in the city area. So when that happens, it will still stutter a tiny bit, unfortunately. But I mean, if you don't mind a couple of stutters here and there, this is probably the way to go, because 40 frames per second feels really good compared to 30, especially on the Steam Deck, the monitor of the Steam Deck. Alright, here we go. 40 FPS cap right there. Ooh, as you can see, as soon as it drops slightly from 40, like to 39 or 38, the frame time graph goes crazy. That's really sad, actually, you know? Oh man, okay, if it didn't stutter, it would be such a great experience, even if it drops into the 30s at times. But when it stutters, it's not great. And the CPU on the Steam Deck is definitely more capable and more powerful than something like the i3 4th Gen. But the thing is, it's capped to 15 watts, both on the GPU and CPU side of things. And those 15 watts are shared between the CPU and the GPU. That's why you can see like the CPU usage now at 50-something%, and it's utilizing 10 watts around that. And the GPU is utilizing around like 3 watts of power. Now, even if it has a couple of stutters with 40 FPS here and there, I think I would utilize these settings, okay, with the 40 FPS cap, because it feels a lot snappier in terms of input lag than 30 here in this game. Now, since the GPU is never maxed out, manually changing the GPU clock speed will actually help the CPU using a little bit more power, you know? So I'm gonna set it to 1200 megahertz right here. And now we should see slightly higher GPU utilization and slightly higher wattage on the CPU. You know, because the GPU now doesn't need to utilize as many watts of power, but now it's still dropping into the 30s at times. So this doesn't do anything. Let's try like 1000 megahertz. Okay. Come on, give more power to the CPU, please. Almost reaching like 11 watts at times, but it's roughly the same thing. Now the GPU is utilizing slightly less though. What I'm trying to do here is close to max out that GPU usage while having a little bit more headroom in terms of TDP for the CPU, so it doesn't drop from 40 FPS at all. But I don't think it's gonna happen, guys. Let's see. 40, yeah, it's still the same thing, dude. Okay, CPU power usage is always the same. GPU power usage gets a little bit lower, but I mean, just don't mess around with the manual GPU clock control. It's not worth it in this title, okay? Now, the last thing that we can do to increase performance is lower the settings. So I'm gonna lower it down to high on everything aside from texture quality, because, you know, we do have enough VRAM for that, so no problem. It's gonna turn this off. Settings to high here. This to soft, yeah. Post effects set to normal still. Let's do like 4 times over here, which doesn't really matter. Normal ambient occlusion and normal tessellation. And I'm gonna apply that and restart the game because we need to restart. Okay, first I'm gonna set the frame rate limit to off here. And we're gonna go to story mode again. I'm also gonna test a little bit of online a little bit later. That should be kind of unplayable because it's way more CPU bound. And we're back here getting 60 FPS. That's about the same as we saw at the start of this game, right? Like at the very high settings. It doesn't really change much again because we are CPU bound. We were CPU bound on very high settings. There are not a ton of settings that are CPU intensive in this game. Of course, we lowered them, but it's still not enough for us to achieve a smooth experience or a completely smooth experience all of the time in this game. Still a bit stuttery, as you can see. I don't really like this too much, guys, honestly. Yeah, it still has a ton of little frame time spikes. So what we need to do again is to set it to 40 FPS locked, and now hopefully it's gonna stay at 40 FPS through the entire gameplay session. If it does, well, we found the perfect settings for the Steam Deck. If it doesn't, well, there's not much you can do. You could play on like normal settings, which is the lowest in this game, but that looks horrible, honestly, compared to high or very high. So you might not want to do that. And again, it's still going to be CPU bound, obviously. Anyway, oh, there we go. That was nice. Okay, it's all good. Oh, so sorry, people. All right, I haven't seen a single stutter yet, so that is amazing. Again, because the allow tearing is turned on, we don't really see a ton of input lag. And this feels nice now. All right. Maybe this is the way to go, guys. Do not go for very high settings. I thought there wouldn't be much of a difference comparing the two settings here. Okay, Jack's Hill. Let's go. Let's see this. GPU usage shouldn't be maxed out because it wasn't on very high settings. And 40 FPS locked. Hello, Jacqueline. How's it going? We saw Jacqueline this time around, not Jack. It seems like Jack doesn't really like the Steam Deck much, or maybe it does. You know, he was here after all the first time around. That's rare these days. Let's see GPU usage increasing a little bit here. Not a problem though, only into like the 70s, lower 70s, you know. That's good. Kill Bob. Goodbye, Bob. Lastly, let's drive really fast here through the city with a lot of cars and vehicles around us. Yeah. You know, maybe the population density is the setting that is lowering down that CPU utilization slightly and making it not drop from 40 FPS at all. So yeah, this is definitely great, guys. The first time that I tried GTA 5... Ooh, I saw 39 there. First time that I tried this game on the Steam Deck, it was also dropping from 40 FPS using these settings, but of course this has a ton of updates and they update Proton very often, and apparently it performs a little bit better now. You can get locked 40 like 99% of the time here now. So next up, we should definitely try online. Again, GTA Online is way more CPU bound because the CPU gotta take care of all of the other people around you and see what they're doing and see what effects they have on the environment and stuff. And it gets way more intensive. And also GTA 5 being an older title, it's only optimized to run efficiently at least on 4 cores only. So yeah, you really need fast single core performance for online. You know what? First I'm gonna unlock the FPS, okay? Okay guys, we're not even in like the middle of the city and it's already stuttering like crazy and dropping from 40 FPS like crazy. Let's just grab the car, it's already dropping into the lower 30s and it's so stuttery that it's just not an enjoyable experience whatsoever, okay? I guess if I lock it to 30 FPS, that was a terrible stutter there, it will stay at 30 all of the time and it will probably be playable here in GTA Online as well. But look at that, dude, the frame time is all over the place. It is so bad. Oh boy. No, I don't like this at all. So I'm gonna lock it to 30 FPS now with the refresh rate set to 60 and it should be smooth, okay? But again, we got that little bit of an issue with the input lag, which is a lot worse right now. So you will have trouble aiming at people here in online for sure. And even in races and stuff like that, it's harder to control the car with a lot of input lag, obviously. So yeah, it is playable. Though, like, if it wasn't for the freaking input lag, which will go away if you connect it to an external monitor via USB-C, and if you don't mess around with the developer options like I did, I really wanted to feel that input lag, you know? Yeah, you can get it to be somewhat responsive, but like this, it is just a bit too much to me. Another horrible thing about GTA Online, by the way, is that Jack is never there because there are no animals in GTA Online, unfortunately. So that is absolutely terrible and that's why I never play this game online. And also because I suck at it. But yeah. Okay guys, so that's been it for this one. As you can see over here with the bushes, it doesn't really drop at all. Jack is not here, so it's very sad. Bob is also not here usually in online, so there's that as well. But yeah, you can play if you don't mind input lag. Well, good for you, but I just hate it. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.